Welcome everyone to the 1991 Review Channel. Today, we will explore the new episode of Battle Through the Heavens. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support me. Let's recap the previous episode. After stepping out the spatial rift, Xiao Yan looked around in great surprise. He was surrounded by a layer of clouds, with not a single piece of land beneath his feet. After parting the layers of clouds, a city suspended in midair immediately appeared before him. Afterward, Xiao Long gave Xiao Yan a brief introduction to the unique architecture of the place. Upon entering the main hall, Xiao Yan could feel a sense of closeness, as if there was a thread of shared bloodline between him and everyone here. Many clan members stared at Xiao Yan, their gazes filled with curiosity. They had heard that the Do Chi continent no longer had the origin chi required to become a Do Di, so they couldn't believe that a Do Di could still emerge from there, which left them endlessly puzzled. However, in Xiao Long's presence, no one dared to step forward and ask, so they could only speculate silently. How terrifying his strength was, no one knew, but for the past 500 years, no one had ever seen this patriarch, and no one knew where he had gone to cultivate. Currently, within the Xiao clan, Xiao Li is a leader, the second elder, with a status higher than Xiao Long's. All matters within the clan are decided by him. Without any hesitation, Xiao Yan walked directly to the nearest empty seat and sat down. Xiao Long approached Xiao Li and whispered something in his ear. Xiao Li's eyebrows immediately shot up before he composed himself. Xiao Long turned and sat down to Xiao Li's right. Xiao Li smiled and said, "Xiao Yan, on behalf of the entire Xiao clan and in my capacity as its master, I welcome you to the Do Di continent." Xiao Yan hurriedly returned the courtesy. "Many thanks, ancestor." The old man's voice suddenly deepened. "You must be aware of the chaotic saint flame within your body, correct?" Xiao Yan nodded. On the way to the Xiao clan, Xiao Long had already briefly explained the situation to him. Upon hearing the four words, chaotic saint flame, the eyes of all the elders in the hall flashed with a strange, intense heat. The elders looked at each other. Their expressions varied as they stared intently at Xiao Yan. Chaotic saint flame. Xiao Li suddenly shot to his feet and said to all the elders, "Everyone, please leave for now. I have some private matters to discuss with the young Xiao Yan." Everyone understood that this was undoubtedly related to Xiao Yan's chaotic saint flame. All of them, including Xiao Long, stood up and replied respectfully, "Yes," before promptly retreating. Soon, only Xiao Yan and Xiao Li remained in the great hall. Xiao Li walked to Xiao Yan's side and said softly, "Young Xiao Yan, do you know the situation regarding the chaotic saint flame inside your body?" Xiao Yan nodded and replied, "Ancestor Xiao Long told me a little about it just now, but I still don't quite understand the details about its core." Xiao Li nodded with a smile and said, "This chaotic saint flame indeed holds many secrets. Now that you are its master, there are some things you must know about it." As he spoke, Xiao Li waved his hand, and a ball of light shot from his palm toward the spot between Xiao Yan's eyebrows. Instantly, a scene from tens of thousands of years ago appeared in Xiao Yan's mind. An elder of the Xiao clan had betrayed them. At that time, this elder was the owner of the chaotic saint flame. He had immense ambitions and plotted to take over the entire Xiao clan. However, the strength of the other Xiao clan elders was not inferior, and thus a large-scale battle began. In the end, due to the self-detonation of several elders, the chaotic saint flame was sent through a spatial passage that opened up, leading it to the Do Chi continent. For some unknown reason, the chaotic saint flame split into various types of heavenly flames on the Do Chi continent. However, without the nourishment of origin chi, its power slowly weakened. After arriving on the Do Di continent, these heavenly flames became restless again, but they were all suppressed by the top-ranking D flame. After all, Xiao Yan had inherited the most powerful D flame's power and naturally had the ability to control the chaotic saint flame. On the Do Di continent, after continuously absorbing origin chi, it would strengthen itself. At the same time, upon reaching a certain stage of maturity, it would grant its owner an extremely powerful heavenly flame ability. The chaotic saint flame was extremely famous on the Do Di continent since ancient times, ranking 18th on the heavenly flame ranking, making it a truly formidable existence. The Xiao clan possessed a total of 3 heavenly flames, which was considered quite good among the clans in the D prefecture, but these flames were coveted by the surrounding factions. However, the Xiao clan was ultimately an ancient clan with several protective formations passed down from their ancestors, which were not easily broken by other forces. This was why they did not dare to act rashly. The chaotic saint flame was the number 1 ranked heavenly flame within the Xiao clan. Information about the chaotic saint flame continuously flooded Xiao Yan's mind. After processing it all, he was filled with emotion. It seemed that the biggest variable in the Xiao clan's past was the heavenly flame within his own body. Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes. He never would have imagined that the heavenly flames he had painstakingly collected on the Do Chi continent were actually a single heavenly flame from the Do Di continent. If his body could fully merge all these flames into the so-called chaotic Saint Flame, how terrifying would that be? Xiao Li smiled calmly and said, "All right, you understand everything now. As for the chaotic Saint Flame in your body, you must uncover its potential yourself. I can, at most, act as a guide. Now, I will take you to see something. I'm sure you are very familiar with it." Xiao Yan was slightly startled, then nodded. He had just arrived and didn't think there was anything familiar here. Regardless, he decided to follow the elder. The two of them walked out of the main hall and flew at a leisurely pace. Xiao Li's hands caressed two small spheres that emitted a peculiar aura. He turned his head and said, "Young Xiao Yan, look into the distance. Have you ever seen that thing before?" Xiao Yan followed his gaze and was instantly stunned. Not far away, a golden tower floated at the horizon. Xiao Yan's eyes widened in shock. Isn't this the heavenly flame refining tower? Why is it here? Xiao Li laughed heartily and calmly said, "This tower, it seems it was brought here by you." As they spoke, Xiao Yan had already arrived in front of the refining tower, muttering, "Could this tower have a spirit?" A shiver went through Xiao Yan's heart as he recalled the past. Could it be that this object was formed by the fallen heart flame? But if it was, why couldn't he sense its aura? At this moment, Xiao Yan was a bit dazed. Even he couldn't understand the sudden appearance of this golden tower. Xiao Yan carefully observed the tower. Based on its appearance, it was indeed the heavenly flame refining tower from the Jianan Academy. He moved forward and placed his hand gently on it. Suddenly, the light before him flickered and shrank at an incredible speed. In an instant, the massive object transformed into a palm-sized item, hovering slowly in front of him. Xiao Li, standing behind Xiao Yan, was also slightly surprised, but his hands continued to caress the two extraordinarily aura-filled spheres. Xiao Yan looked at the small tower floating before him and slowly closed his hand around it, his heart pounding with excitement. The moment he grasped it, a powerful aura made his heart tremble. This tower was definitely an extraordinary artifact. Moreover, the fact that it could shrink to be carried around filled him with joy. After the excitement and joy, however, Xiao Yan felt confused again. Was this tower truly the heavenly flame refining tower from the Jianan Academy? If so, how did it get to the Dou Di continent? If not, what was it? Why did it look exactly like the heavenly flame refining tower and could even shrink to the size of his palm? Xiao Yan immediately asked Xiao Li, "What is this tower?" Xiao Li couldn't answer. The tower had arrived on the Dou Di continent along with Xiao Yan, but had come directly to the Xiao clan. When it appeared, the clan members were all quite surprised. Because both had come from the Dou Qi continent, the tower carried Xiao Yan's aura, and had appeared suddenly just as Xiao Yan was about to arrive. Therefore, Xiao Li also considered it to have come along with Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan shook his head helplessly. This tower looked like the heavenly flame refining tower, but the aura it emitted was not the same. This left a puzzled expression on his face. Xiao Li smiled and said, "Well, don't dwell on it. It seems this tower has a destiny with you. Take it back and study it slowly. You've just arrived in this strange world and might not be used to it yet. Go and rest first." Xiao Yan nodded and carefully stored the tower away. Suddenly, he remembered something. He had encountered an unbelievable event upon his arrival, and perhaps this old man could clear up his doubts. Xiao Yan spoke up. "Wait, ancestor, this junior has a question to ask." Xiao Li gestured for him to speak. The ambush from the previous day still troubled him. Xiao Yan asked, "I wonder how the ancestor knew I was coming?" Seeing Xiao Yan's extremely wary expression, Xiao Li smiled and asked in return, "Do I not even have the ability to sense my own descendants?" Xiao Yan explained, "That's not it. This junior didn't mean that. Yesterday, on my way here, I was ambushed by some unknown people. They seemed to have set up a trap specifically for me, which made me a bit suspicious." Xiao Li's expression turned grim. "An ambush targeting you? Who was it, do you know? Why didn't Xiao Long tell me about this earlier?" Xiao Yan's whereabouts were only known to the Xiao clan elders. Could it be? Xiao Yan froze. The one who had received him was not Xiao Long, but Emperor Ming. Whether Emperor Ming had told Xiao Long, Xiao Yan didn't know, so it was possible that Xiao Long was unaware of the ambush. Xiao Yan replied, "It was a demonic saint sect, someone called Old Master Yi or something like that." Xiao Li thought for a moment and then said to Xiao Yan, "It was him? He dares to do such a thing? Xiao Yan, I will handle this matter. You don't need to worry too much. For the next year, try not to go out. Wait until next year, after you are registered in the clan records, and I will send someone to guide you in your cultivation." Xiao Yan nodded. Having come to this continent, he knew he needed some time to understand it first. He then suddenly remembered something about Xiao Xian and hurriedly asked, "Oh, right, I have another question for the ancestor. If only a trace of a soul imprint remains, is it still possible to resurrect someone?" Hearing this, Xiao Li's brows furrowed. He stroked his beard and muttered, Only a trace of a soul imprint remains? This is not an easy matter. Is this person very important? Xiao Yan nodded solemnly. He is also a member of the Xiao clan. In order for this junior to advance to the Do Di level, he allowed his soul to dissipate. Does the ancestor have any method? Xiao Li nodded and said, There is a method, but with your current strength, it is harder than ascending to the heavens. Hearing that there was a method, Xiao Yan's heart filled with joy. If not for ancestor Xiao Xian, Xiao Yan might not have been able to reach this stage today. He quickly asked, What is the method? Please tell me, ancestor. This junior will spare no cost to resurrect ancestor Xiao Xian. Upon hearing the name Xiao Xian, Xiao Li was slightly taken aback and frowned in thought. Xiao Xian? Why does that name sound so familiar? But he couldn't recall it at that moment. Xiao Li said to Xiao Yan, There's only one way. You should know the Yao clan, right? Hearing about the Yao clan, Xiao Yan, the 4 pillars of the seal are trembling violently. Go and check it out quickly. The seal is about to break. Xiao Li's smiling face instantly changed. What? Without another word, he tapped his foot and tore through the void to leave. Xiao Yan immediately activated his form and followed closely behind. In this spatial realm, Xiao Yan's speed and power couldn't be fully utilized, which was extremely strange. He had to hastily deploy his bone wings just to barely keep up. In just a few seconds, they arrived in an extremely remote part of the Xiao clan. In the distance, they saw several sky-piercing pillars, each one trembling as if under some sort of stimulation. This pocket dimension began to shake violently, and countless structures collapsed one after another. Xiao Yan was also shocked, and the soul energy between his eyebrows surged out like a tide. 2 beams of light shot from his hands towards the stone pillars, and Do Qi filled the sky, but the pillars showed no sign of stopping their shaking. On the contrary, the surrounding buildings and structures began to tremble along with them. What on earth were these stone pillars? At this moment, Xiao Long and several other elders also rushed over. Xiao Yan stood at a distance, watching the violently shaking structures around them, looking as if they would collapse in the next second. He recklessly charged forward, rapidly gathering Do Qi and launching it toward the towering pillars. In an instant, the entire sky was covered by 5-colored Do Qi. These pillars began to emit a powerful pressure that grew stronger and stronger. Xiao Yan could feel this formidable might, yet the pressure had no effect on him. He looked from afar at the constantly trembling pillars, feeling their immense pressure. An ordinary early-stage 1-star Do Di's face would have already changed, unable to withstand such pressure, and would have fled far away. Only Xiao Yan, also an early-stage 1-star Do Di, seemed completely unaffected by this powerful pressure and continued to advance. Several Xiao clan elders stepped forward, their powerful auras descending upon the world as they used their Do Qi to stabilize the stone pillars. In the center of these pillars was a ball of light, and within it, a massive vortex formed. The vortex was continuously expanding, and from within it came an extremely powerful aura. It felt like the closer he got, the more familiar Xiao Yan felt with this powerful aura. Under countless expectant and fervent gazes, a powerful and soul-shaking energy fluctuation slowly emanated from the vortex between the towering pillars in the Xiao clan space. With this fluctuation, a powerful aura also drew closer. The atmosphere in the entire Xiao clan instantly became tense. A dense crowd of people rushed out, desperate to see what this aura was. Everyone shouted in alarm. Something is about to break out. Suddenly, a streak of golden light shot out, piercing through the void and rushing toward the sky. At this moment, Xiao Yan's body also suddenly surged with power. Xiao Yi abruptly flew out of Xiao Yan's body and hovered on his shoulder, staring at the golden light in the sky and muttering, 9 profound golden thunder dragon. Hearing Xiao Yi's words, Xiao Yan's steps halted. He murmured softly, 9 profound golden thunder dragon. Could this be the only sentient thunder dragon that I condensed using the 9 profound golden thunder in the thunder pool? Did it also follow me here? Thinking of this, an unclear feeling arose in Xiao Yan's heart. First, it was a heavenly flame refining tower, and now it was a 9 profound golden thunder dragon. What would be next? How many more things would come to the Do Di continent because of him? At that moment, a golden dragon had burst through the sky. Its massive body flickered with dazzling golden lightning. Xiao Yan was a little surprised. He had expected the 9 profound golden thunder dragon to achieve a strength equivalent to a Do Di in such a short time. The elders shouted in unison, their voices filled with shock. 9 profound golden thunder dragon. After the thunder dragon emerged, the surrounding space finally stopped trembling and became calm again. Countless Xiao clan members looked up at the nearly 100-meter-long golden dragon in the sky. After circling the air, the thunder dragon slowly stopped, facing Xiao Yan and staring at him quietly. Xiao Yan felt as if he heard various telepathic calls, and his body moved slightly, seemingly beyond his control. Xiao Li sensed that something was amiss. He was well aware of the origin and power of this 9 profound golden thunder dragon. Moreover, this one seemed to be sentient. This kind of life form, born from an alchemical pill, was extremely mysterious and had an incredibly small chance of appearing, only when a pill tribulation lightning occurred during pill refinement. But to form a dragon's body required a specific item, a dragon's body. Even if it succeeded in forming, the probability of successfully gaining a spirit was extremely low. A sentient thunder dragon was even more precious. Few could ever hope to subdue one. Once it gained sentience, the pill lightning would have its own consciousness and would grow rapidly by devouring other pill lightnings. This would truly become an extremely powerful tool for an alchemist. The fact that this 9 profound golden thunder dragon could come into being on its own had to be traced back to its time in the thunder pool of the ancient void dragon tribe. In the thunder pool, lightning flashed everywhere. Why did the 9 profound golden thunder dragon emerge there? It was not only because of a naturally formed pill from heaven and earth, but, more importantly, because it was the burial ground of the ancient void dragons. After an ancient void dragon died, it would be buried there. The birth of the 9 profound golden thunder dragon was undoubtedly made possible by using the body of an ancient void dragon as a seed, which allowed it to successfully condense. Because the process of condensing a thunder dragon was so demanding, requiring many factors, it was extremely rare even on the Do-D continent. The growth rate of 9 profound golden thunder dragon was terrifying, making it a naturally coveted prize for all alchemists. If this 9 profound golden thunder dragon were to appear in the outside world, it would probably incite countless alchemists to fight over it. Its allure was immense. If a real fight broke out, not just the Shao clan, but the entire D prefecture could be turned upside down. How could this not shock the Shao clan? Shao Li was also caught in a state of shock. A figure rushed forward from behind him. It was, of course, Xiao Yan. Shao Li quickly reached out to grab him, but saw that Xiao Yan had already flown several dozen feet away, so he could only helplessly withdraw his hand. Approaching the thunder dragon, Xiao Yan extended his hand. The massive head of the thunder dragon slowly rested on his hand, as if it found its master, looking extremely content. The golden light suddenly contracted, and the nearly 100-meter-long dragon's body, coiling in the air, vanished. It then transformed into a 7- or 8-year-old boy who slowly landed beside Xiao Yan. He looked a bit exhausted. The boy had golden eyebrows and golden pupils. His bare body flickered with residual golden lightning, giving him a peculiar look. All the Shao clan members were stunned by this sudden turn of events, which made Xiao Yan feel a bit emotional. Back then, when he saw the 9 profound golden thunder dragon being born in the thunder pool of the ancient void dragon tribe, he had only helped it gain a spirit because it was mutually beneficial. He never imagined that this act would make the young dragon remember his kindness, causing it to follow him to the Do-D continent at any cost. Not only Xiao Yan, but even the Shao clan members were dumbfounded by the scene before them. Just what kind of luck did this kid Xiao Yan have? Even on the Do-D continent, only a few people possessed a 9 profound golden thunder dragon. Xiao Yan slowly descended, and the boy hovered behind him. Xiao Li stepped forward and said, "Young Xiao Yan, congratulations." The Shao clan members also came forward one by one to congratulate him. Xiao Yan gave a helpless, wry smile and waved his hand. In truth, he himself didn't understand what was going on. He had only done what he could back then, but now it seemed he had received a great reward. Finding the various gazes a bit overwhelming, Xiao Yan clasped his hands and said to Xiao Li, "Ancestor, if there is nothing else, this junior will take his leave." Xiao Li nodded, inwardly praising Xiao Yan. He had only been here for 2 days, and had already caused such a huge commotion. After his silent praise, he felt a wave of relief. Fortunately, this golden dragon had no intention of attacking. Otherwise, if these beast-suppressing pillars had fallen, the entire Shao clan would have likely collapsed, unable to withstand the blow. These 5 stone pillars were called the beast-suppressing pillars, and were the foundation supporting the entire Shao clan. Of course, each pillar had a different function. The 5 pillars could summon. Magical beasts also serve as a mystical passage connecting to the Do-Chi continent. But only magical beasts can use this passage. If a human wants to enter with their physical body, unless they have surpassed the level of the Do-D, they will instantly be crushed into pieces. Only after surpassing the Do-D level does one have the qualification and ability to enter. Xiao Yan didn't dare to be disrespectful. The way the Shao clan members looked at him was just like how others had looked at him before, back when he was a child and still a genius. That kind of respectful and fearful gaze gave him a refreshing feeling that he hadn't experienced in many years. Xiao Yan avoided their gazes and, leading the 9 profound golden thunder dragon, which had transformed into a young boy, quickly returned to the residence Xiao Li had assigned him. Xiao Yan pushed open the door and stepped inside. The room was quite large and exquisitely decorated. After a quick look around, he led the boy in. Xiao Yan sat down and then gestured for the boy to sit as well. looking at the 7 or 8-year-old child, whose skin had a faint golden tint and whose muscles were well defined. Xiao Yan smiled and asked, "What is your name?" The boy slowly sat beside Xiao Yan and replied plainly, "Long Yi." Looking at Long Yi's expressionless face, Xiao Yan frowned slightly and asked, "Why did you come looking for me?" A hint of excitement appeared on Long Yi's face. He said, "Back then, you helped me form my spirit. You are my father." Xiao Yan was stunned. Father? Heavens! He couldn't understand how he had suddenly gained a son. With a helpless, wry smile, Xiao Yan said, "That was just something I did in passing. It's not worth mentioning. I don't think father is appropriate. How about we call each other brothers from now on?" Before Xiao Yan could finish, Long Yi trembled, transformed into a small dragon, and fell to the ground. Startled, Xiao Yan rushed to support him. He infused Do Qi into Long Yi's body, only then discovering that his injuries were quite severe. Xiao Yan thought, "He's injured and badly. I need to treat him immediately." Suddenly, an ancient voice echoed by Xiao Yan's ear. "Bring him into the tower." Xiao Yan exclaimed in shock. "Who is it? Whose voice is that? In the tower? The little tower? That's right. Could it be the little tower?" With that thought, Xiao Yan quickly took out the small tower and hurriedly asked, "Are you the one talking to me? Who are you?" The ancient voice continued calmly, "Me? You don't need to know my identity right now. You can just call me Zhan Lao from now on. Infuse your soul power into the tower, and you will be able to enter." Xiao Yan nodded and immediately released his soul power, pouring it into the small tower. His and Long Yi's figures instantly turned into a streak of golden light and flew into the golden tower. The tower then slowly floated in midair, its strange, sparkling light instantly bathing the entire room in a faint golden glow. The moment Xiao Yan entered the tower, a stream of information flowed into his mind. On the outside, this tower looked like the Heavenly Flame Refining Tower, but its real name was the Death God Void Spirit Tower. The tower was divided into 22 floors, including a refining floor, a cultivation technique floor, a medicinal ingredient floor, and many others. The Death God Void Spirit Tower. Xiao Yan was inwardly shocked. Is this the true form of the Heavenly Flame Refining Tower? Why did it appear as a small tower like this? The information he had just received didn't mention any of this. It seemed Zhan Lao had intentionally concealed that information. There wasn't much of an introduction, suggesting it was hidden on purpose. However, Xiao Yan knew in his heart that this small tower in his hand was not that simple. Xiao Yan collected his thoughts and slowly opened his eyes. An old man in a gray robe appeared before him. Seeing this elder, Xiao Yan was momentarily stunned and exclaimed in shock, "Teacher!" This face was incredibly similar to Yao Lao's, from his features to his smile, but it was clearly just a copy. Xiao Yan's heart trembled slightly as he shook his head. He knew this definitely wasn't Yao Lao. After a long moment, he recovered and asked, You are Zhan Lao?" The old man looked at Xiao Yan and nodded, a hint of mystery on his face. He walked over to Long Yi, who was lying on the ground, and with a flick of his sleeve, a strange energy passed through Long Yi's body, which then suddenly emitted a golden light. Xiao Yan composed himself and began to observe the tower. He noticed that it still had some differences from the Heavenly Flame Refining Tower. Firstly, it was much larger than the one on the Do Qi continent. Looking around, Xiao Yan guessed this must be the lowest refining floor in the tower. Then, he discovered that the Do Qi inside this tower was distinctly different from the Do Qi in the Heavenly Flame Refining Tower. This was not ordinary Do Qi, but Di's origin Qi. At that moment, the Do Qi in Xiao Yan's body suddenly fluctuated, just like the first time he entered the Heavenly Flame Refining Tower, and he could vaguely feel improving. Xiao Yan's previous doubts about this tower resurfaced, even more intensely than before. He turned to the old man and immediately asked, "Zhan Lao, where did this tower come from? Why does it carry my aura? Its exterior is identical to the Heavenly Flame Refining Tower, but the inside is completely different. I never saw this tower on the Do Qi continent, so why did it come here on its own?" Zhan Lao continued to wave the golden light in his hand to heal Long Yi's wounds while replying to Xiao Yan, "The tower before you is, in fact, the Heavenly Flame Refining Tower. As for why you feel it's different and all the other questions you have, those are secrets that cannot be revealed to you right now. You will naturally find out in the future." Xiao Yan frowned, clearly dissatisfied with this answer. He immediately asked, "Why can't you tell me now?" Zhan Lao looked at Xiao Yan and chuckled lightly. "I've already said it. I'm afraid if I tell you, I won't live to see another day, and I don't want to die yet, haha. The secrets of this tower must be discovered by you alone. For now, you can go inside and start practicing. The feeling here is completely different from the Do Qi continent." Xiao Yan nodded. Thinking that this old man, who looked so much like Yao Lao, didn't seem to be lying, he decided to trust him. He hadn't had time to cultivate since arriving on this continent, and was filled with curiosity and anticipation. Without another word, He began walking toward the center. Seeing Xiao Yan slowly move forward, a strange expression flickered across Zhang Lao's face. Just a few steps toward the center, a powerful pressure directly suppressed the Do Qi in Xiao Yan's body, causing its flow to become much slower. Yet, Xiao Yan had no intention of stopping. After a few difficult steps, his face was already covered in sweat. His strength and power were now completely suppressed, making it impossible for him to move forward. He cursed under his breath. Damn it! What kind of power is this? Why is it so formidable? At this moment, the Do Qi in his body was moving as slowly as a snail. However, Xiao Yan could clearly feel that the Do Qi within him was growing at a dizzying rate. He knew this was a form of training, a great opportunity. So, he slowly sat down, closed his eyes, and focused. He gently exhaled a breath of white air and began to absorb the energy of heaven and earth. His meridians began to absorb frantically, like a starving man who hadn't eaten in days, crazily drawing the world's energy into his body. Xiao Yan didn't know that this absorption would bring him a massive improvement. This was because every new Do Di who arrived on the Do Di continent would experience significant growth during their first cultivation session. How much they grew, however, depended on their talent and luck. Now, Xiao Yan had begun his first training session on the Do Di continent, a session that could last for several days or even longer. After some time, the energy absorption in Xiao Yan's body gradually slowed down. A ball of light filled with powerful aura appeared in his dantian, madly surging through his meridians and into his inner body. With this frenzied flow of energy, Xiao Yan's aura also began to rise at a dizzying speed. Xiao Yan was utterly astonished. He had never experienced such a rapid increase in strength. It was unbelievably fast. It turned out that this tower could indeed enhance one's cultivation speed. Around him, the frenzied energy transformed into countless points of light, instantly filling the entire refining floor. At the same time, a dense layer of energy enveloped him, continuously pouring into his body. Seeing the layers of energy light surrounding the black-robed figure, Zhang Lao secretly shook his head with a wry smile and said, "This fellow is truly unpredictable, certainly not simple. No wonder he was chosen as a successor by the Death God Void Spirit Tower. It seems he's about to give those old geezers of the Xiao clan another shock." In Xiao Yan's room, a golden tower emitting a strange light floated slowly in midair. A blue energy rapidly filled the room, enveloping the tower. The phenomenon was visible even from a distance. In a flash, the room was covered by a layer of energy that gave off a dazzling glow. An instant later, just as Zhang Lao predicted, all the elders of the Xiao clan, including Xiao Li and Xiao Long, rushed to Xiao Yan's room. Seeing the energy continuously pouring into the room, one of the elders exclaimed in shock, "Isn't this the room of the new clan member, Xiao Yan?" The faces of Xiao Li, who was in the lead, and Xiao Long, who was behind him, were filled with uncertainty and doubt, but they nodded slightly. By now, almost all the members of the Xiao clan had heard the news and rushed over, completely surrounding the door in minutes, all of them discussing animatedly. Such a scene had not occurred in the Xiao clan for a very long time. The last time was several hundred years ago when another individual had appeared, the one who possessed the Xiao clan's heavenly flame. And now, another one had appeared before them. However, they did not know that the new clan member inside this room was the owner of the Chaotic Saint Flame, the number one heavenly flame in the Xiao clan, a name that made their faces change upon hearing it. Among the crowd, a few figures stood out, their demeanor very different from the other clan members. As they looked at the room shrouded in energy, a cold sneer flashed across their faces. The noisy crowd made Xiao Li frown. This was the most critical stage of Xiao Yan's cultivation and could not be interrupted. This situation was a chance for a massive leap in strength, one that only occurred during a Do Di's very first cultivation session after arriving on the Do Di continent. A similar opportunity would basically never appear again. Looking at the clamoring clan members, Xiao Li let out a sharp humph and ordered, "Silence!" The deafening noise instantly vanished, and the area became quiet. Only then did Xiao Li's brow relax. Xiao Yan's first cultivation was extremely important, so no one could be allowed to disturb him. He turned and once again addressed all the clan members. No one is allowed to take a single step closer to this room. Violators will be punished according to clan law. In the Xiao clan, no one dared to defy the supreme ancestor. All the clan members silently nodded, and the crowd slowly dispersed. Xiao Li immediately arranged for a few people to stand guard outside. If his guess was correct, Xiao Yan's cultivation session would likely last for 10 days to half a month, or even longer. After making the arrangements, Xiao Li gave the room one last look before leaving. Back inside the golden tower, Xiao Yan's entire body was glowing with a golden light. The surrounding energy gathered as if at its peak state, continuously pouring into him. 2 days passed like this, but the energy Xiao Yan was absorbing showed no signs of stopping. Behind him, a young boy was also covered in electric light, sitting cross-legged just like Xiao Yan. This was naturally Long Yi, who had been brought in unconscious. His injuries had been completely healed by Zhang Lao, a healing speed that was truly breathtaking. The Dou Qi inside Xiao Yan's body slowly filled with a trace of energy fluctuation, which naturally did not escape his detection. If he wasn't mistaken, this was Di's origin Qi. Seeing the rapid increase of Dou Qi in his body, Xiao Yan was also very surprised. 2 days had passed, and he was preparing to take a short break. However, at that very moment, Zhang Lao's voice suddenly echoed in his mind. Kid, these next few days are the best opportunity for you to increase your strength. If you stop now, I'm afraid you won't get a chance like this again. Zhang Lao's voice lingered in his mind. The best opportunity? If I stop, I won't get a chance like this again. He naturally didn't know that after any Dou Di enters this continent, their first cultivation session is the fastest they will ever experience. Although he still had many doubts, hearing Zhang Lao's words, Xiao Yan dismissed the thought of stopping and asked, "Why do you say that?" Zhang Lao gently explained, "After every Dou Di enters this continent, their first cultivation session will bring a great increase in strength. No one can say for sure how much they will improve. It depends on each person's talent and fortune. But from what I see now, you need to maintain this for at least another 10 days to half a month. Don't be impatient. Patience will be rewarded. After you finish cultivating, I believe you will have gains beyond your wildest imagination." After hearing Zhang Lao's explanation, Xiao Yan immediately understood. It turned out his rapid progress was because this was his first cultivation session on the Dou Di continent. Every newcomer here gets an opportunity like this. And according to Zhang Lao, he was still far from finishing his first session and could not stop midway. With everything clear, Xiao Yan let out a silent sigh of relief. It was a good thing Zhang Lao had reminded him. Otherwise, his loss would have been immense. Without saying more, he once again immersed himself in cultivation, his absorption speed seemingly increasing slightly. As he absorbed, the energy in the tower dwindled, and energy from the outside continuously poured in, looking as magnificent as a starry sky. At the same time, at the very top of the tower, a few points of light flickered. Zhang Lao looked up, squinting slightly, his face filled with emotion. Upon closer inspection, the top of the tower was covered in complex patterns. These patterns were incredibly intricate, with no discernible law. Yet they seemed to hide something profound, emitting a faint but extremely powerful aura. Among them, a few points of light flickered like blinking eyes, carrying a hint of strangeness and vitality. Seeing these points of light, Zhang Lao muttered to himself, "It seems this kid really has a destiny with you all." Time flew by. Inside the golden tower, Xiao Yan remained as still as a statue. He had been cultivating here for 20 days. Countless points of energy light still surrounded the refining floor, showing no signs of stopping. Inside his body, a special energy was rising. Strands of Dou Qi continuously flowed out from the light mass, underwent refinement, and then returned to the Dou Qi mass in his dantian. Under this perfect cycle, the Dou Qi mass, which was originally a faint red, not only became stronger, but the red within it grew clearer and more brilliant. This change in his Dou Qi naturally caught Xiao Yan's attention. Since he was in a state of cultivation, he wasn't entirely clear how much time had passed. But judging from how much stronger the Dou Qi mass had become, he had probably reached the peak of the early stage 1-star Dou Di and would soon be able to truly step into the mid-stage. Naturally, Xiao Yan was not foolish enough to interrupt this unique state of automatic cultivation. He maintained a calm mind, like an old monk in deep meditation, unmoved by any external things, only quietly watching the dazzling Dou Qi mass, filled with terrifying aura, grow ever stronger. He continued to cultivate like this for an unknown amount of time, his mind becoming somewhat chaotic. Suddenly, a strange fluctuation was transmitted, startling him awake. Xiao Yan was extremely surprised to find that the Dou Qi vortex in his body was now emitting an even more intense light, seemingly full of spirit as it continuously released strangely shaped beams of light. Forcing down the joy rising in his heart, Xiao Yan did not issue any commands to rebellious Dou Qi mass. He simply took on the role of an observer, watching its every move. After a moment, the Dou Qi mass floating in his dantian suddenly emitted a powerful suction force. The moment that suction appeared, Xiao Yan noticed that the abundant Dou Qi flowing through his meridians, as if guided, began to turn into a torrent, rushing silently but majestically toward the Dou Qi mass in his dantian and merging into the mighty vortex. At this time, not only were there changes inside his body, but significant activity was also occurring outside. The moment the Dou Qi mass released its suction force, the energy surrounding Xiao Yan immediately rippled. A moment later, a warm energy began to surge madly outward with him at the center. Because the energy on the refining floor was being drawn in from the outside, it continuously poured in. People outside could even see an energy vortex rapidly forming around him. A swelling energy erupted from within his body, and he never would have imagined that these 20 days of absorption would allow him to reach the peak of the early stage 1-star Dou Di. The rapidly spinning Dou Qi mass in his body continued to accelerate, showing no signs of stopping. While Xiao Yan continued to absorb the surrounding energy, outside the room, Xiao Li stood with his hands behind his back, observing. He muttered, "This Xiao Yan has been cultivating for nearly a month now. I originally thought he would finish in half a month at most, but unexpectedly, 20 days have passed, and the surrounding energy is still gathering." A Xiao clan member with a rather dignified appearance stepped up from behind Xiao Li. Seeing the vast amount of energy still enveloping the room, he asked softly, "Ancestor, who is that person?" To be able to absorb for so long during the first cultivation session. If this continues, it will be close to what's written in the records. In the Xiao clan, the Dou Di with the longest first cultivation time was the clan's first ancestor. It was said that during his first session, he absorbed energy for a full 30 days, stepping directly into the mid-stage of the one-star Dou Di in a single go. To this day, no one in the Xiao clan could match such cultivation talent. Looking at the energy-shrouded room, Xiao Li's eyes were also filled with fervor. The two small spheres in his hands danced as if alive, mirroring his mood. Xiao Li said, "Perhaps even I cannot see through this young man. Heaven knows how many secrets are still hidden within him. A tower and a dragon. They might just seem like two objects that aren't too strange. But one must know that when entering this continent, the chance of a Dou Di's personal storage space following them to the promotion is already minuscule, and items cannot pass through the spatial passage." Yet, Xiao Yan had just arrived. First, a magical tower that could change its size, and then a golden thunder dragon that caused such a huge commotion, shaking the entire Xiao clan to its core. Of course, there was also contempt mixed in. The Xiao clan elders arrived one after another from a distance. When their eyes fell on the energy vortex outside the room, they were all slightly startled, then revealed expressions of extreme envy. Obviously, they all knew what this represented. Seeing the surrounding energy being madly absorbed, one clan member muttered resentfully, "This guy's been cultivating for 20 days without eating or drinking. He's a true monster." A young woman with a delicate appearance also stared at the vortex, saying cautiously, "I've heard about this person on the Dou Qi continent. This fellow was the only one to advance the Dou Di in 1,000 years. His name is Xiao Yan, and he is very strong. It's said that he even defeated a peak one-star Dou Di from the heavenly Ming Valley." Hearing her words, 3 other clan members understood and added, "So he's that Xiao Yan." At first, I didn't believe the rumors about him, but seeing this now, it seems they are true. Clearly, the news of Xiao Yan's battle at the heavenly Ming Valley had reached the Xiao clan. Everyone had heard the name Xiao Yan. The delicate young woman put a finger to her lips and whispered, "Sure, keep your voices down. If the ancestor hears us, we'll be in trouble." Xiao Li continued to stare at the energy-shrouded room. He had originally thought the boy was just lucky, but now it seemed it wasn't just simple luck. To be able to continuously cultivate for 20 days, such an achievement was a rare existence in the Xiao clan. Moreover, judging from the aura, his cultivation session was not over yet. "Kid, how long can you last? Will it be close to 30 days? The elder standing next to Xiao Li had also believed that Xiao Yan possessing the chaotic Saint Flame and the golden thunder dragon was just good luck, but now that viewpoint was quietly changing. For a newly advanced Dou Di, cultivating continuously for 20 days during the first session was an almost unattainable feat, yet the young man in the room before them had actually done it. However, in the hearts of these elders, they believed that Xiao Yan could cultivate for so long probably because of the chaotic Saint Flame. He had cultivated for a full 20 days, and every member of the Xiao clan understood that even with just 20 days, Xiao Yan would become a core disciple, nurtured with importance by the clan. And more importantly, his cultivation had yet to stop. Inside the room enveloped by energy, the golden tower bobbed slightly up and down, a powerful aura emanating from within it, constantly growing stronger. That aura, which had persisted for 20 days and was still increasing, belonged to Xiao Yan, who was continuously cultivating. His entire mind was focused on cultivation, so he was naturally unaware that almost the entire Xiao clan was outside watching him. From 20 days, it had now been nearly a month. Xiao Yan had shocked the entire Xiao clan, but even more than shock, there was anticipation. 30 days was a significant milestone for the Xiao clan. It was a record set by their first ancestor during his first cultivation session, a myth that people had looked up to for countless years, a record that countless clan members had strived for but failed to achieve, and the pride of the entire clan. Yet, Xiao Yan, this newly arrived Dou Di, was getting closer and closer to that record. Everyone in the Xiao clan, from top to bottom, was waiting to see if this newcomer could last past 30 days. However, most did not hold out hope that he could break the record. After all, it stood unbroken for tens of thousands of years. At this moment, the vortex in Xiao Yan's Dantian was still releasing its suction force, and all the Dou Qi in his meridians had flowed into it, while the Di's origin chi and surroundings continuously poured into his body. However, the D's origin chi was not immediately absorbed by the vortex like his own Do chi. Xiao Yan guided it to the 5 color flames, circulating it once through his meridians before letting it enter the vortex. Although his Dantian was acting on its own, every step of absorbing, circulating, and refining the Do chi was executed without any problems. In terms of controlling and grasping the flames, even if Xiao Yan were to do it himself, it would be difficult to achieve such perfection. This reckless move was seen to have achieved maximum effect. Time continued to pass, and the suction from the vortex grew stronger, drawing in external energy faster. Due to the environment, strands of D's origin chi continuously appeared. Perhaps just maintaining the heavenly flame to refine the surrounding energy would be enough to exhaust him, and once the D's origin chi disappeared, this refining process would automatically end. At that point, Xiao Yan would probably have to take control himself. Otherwise, if the impurity's origin chi directly entered the vortex, not only would hopes of advancing to the mid-stage 1-star Do Di be dashed, but he himself would suffer irreparable damage. And with that, 1991 Review will conclude this episode. Thank you for watching the entire video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a like, a subscription, and also don't forget to leave your comments and feedback. Thank you all very much.